real balancing act.
Piano!
And the more things are up in the air, the more you could use a good insurance agent. Auto, home, life. Seek Shelter today.
Ask Shelter Agent Nancy Allison about Shelter's competitive insurance rates.
Imagine style so eloquent that functionality is secondary. Imagine expert guidance and a process that's all about you. Imagine exceptional quality at a price you can feel good about. Imagine immense satisfaction. Mark Hall Cabinetry, where everything you imagine materializes.
Closed captioning provided by eNet, your pay-as-you-go work comp specialists.
Well, the walls have already been insulated by Bolivar Insulation, but today they're going to come out here and do the finish work on the insulation. Again, we told you, obviously we can't put insulation in the ceiling because there wasn't any sheetrock holding it up. Well, now that the sheetrock is installed, they're going to come out here and do what is called blown-in insulation. There's approximately 1,680 square feet of R38 that's going to be blown in this house, and then 440 square feet of R19, which will be above the garage. Those are within code specs, if you will. R38 is what you want to have in your main living space. Anything that's not a main living space has to have at least R19, and so that's what they're going to blow in today.
They'll actually go up in there a lot of times and put a little paper ruler that they'll staple from like the ceiling to a rafter or something up there. So when they're actually blowing it in there, they can actually tell when they hit the level that they need in the different areas.
So in this particular case, this insulation for an R38 value, there has to be 11.5 inches of initial thickness when it's installed. And then it has a minimum thickness once it's settled, 10.3, to still be considered an R38. And bags per 1,000 square feet, basically for an R38, you need 48.3 bags to get 1,000 square feet at R38. So obviously in this particular application, we're going to need somewhere around 70 full bags of this to do an R38 for 1,680 square feet.
And again, talking about it, we talked about before, it's the loft, the air that insulation holds that's giving it the R value. Mm-hmm. And you just hit that perfectly when you're talking about it's going to get blown in there, it's going to be nice and fluffy. Well, they know it's going to settle, but if it settles and compacts further than what they're recommending on here, you actually need to add more fluffy insulation back in there. It needs to hold. That's the whole thing with the insulation. It holds the air and it helps increase your R value. You'll go in old houses and it'll be compacted like that, and they complain that it's cold. And the older fiber, the older insulation, they drafted more. They got dust in there, weight, dirt, all crushed it down. So a 40-year-old house may have to have another layer of fluffy insulation blown in there to get them back to a good R value in the ceiling.
The cool thing about this house is we ran an energy band all the way around the house. And what that was a 2x6 that was on the outside edge to where we could blow in insulation all the way up to that final edge and get it as thick as possible to give it as much insulation on the outside walls as we possibly could. So this house is going to be as energy efficient for this application as it possibly can be. So what we're doing here today is soffit. This is aluminum soffit, and what you have is a totally solid ribbed soffit, and then you have what is called vented. As you can see, it's got little perforations within the soffit. So what you have here up here is an F channel.
Well, this is what they call an F channel. You can see how it looks like an F. It comes up and two pieces come over. So when they put it up there, they actually get a nice level chalk line. They want to plan it so the bottom of this channel here in the front is on that chalk line, and then they can run roofing nails or staples all down here underneath. You got a nice easy spot to nail.
And then you put your soffit up here.
Then you'll insert
the soffit,
and this one's a vented piece of soffit. It slides in there, and that's what holds it against the house.
Soffit fits into the F channel, and then you slide it into a nice little groove to the last piece you just installed. This is a solid soffit. This is vented. One, you want to make sure it's square, so you'll make sure that it lines up evenly with the outside. You also put a speed square on here to make sure that it's running straight. Then you take your stapler, right in the center groove, you want to install a staple in there. And you can do as many as you'd like on each rib, so that's good and secure. Then what we're going to do is stick a piece of fascia that will cover this outside edge, trim it out nicely, and it'll also tuck right up underneath the drip edge, which we talked about for our roof application. And that's the basics behind soffit. Really nothing too difficult behind it. It does take a lot of time because you're moving forward 16 inches at a time.
Brought to you in part by Carpet One Floor and Home Columbia. Best brands, best service. The Forum Christian Church, intentionally connecting people to Jesus.
Steve's Pest Control. Now you have a friend in the pest control business.
And Withrow Electric. No job too small.